Okay, hello guys, it's me. Normally I'll be reacting to SML or SMG4, but today my story animated. I always want to watch this, but it's called I Found a Secret Door in the Girl's Bathroom. This has a lot of views for a video that could be fake. So without even saying anything or trying to make this video longer, let's already try it. Watch it.
Hey guys, I'm Phoebe, and you'll never guess where I lived last year. In a secret cupboard in the girls' bathroom. Yes, really. Last summer my parents split up, and it was awful. I went to live with my dad in his new apartment. It was dirty and messy, and there was never any food in the fridge. One day we had an argument, and he told me that if I didn't like his apartment, then I could get out. So I moved in with my mom instead. But she was living with her new boyfriend in his house. It was okay at first, but soon he started bossing me around like he was my dad. The worst thing was my mom wouldn't back me up. She told me that I should just do what he says. One day at school, I was in the bathroom. It was the end of the day, and I really didn't want to go back to Mom's place. I had been really upset and was putting makeup on to cover it up. That was when I saw a reflection in the mirror behind me and noticed a door I hadn't seen before. I turned around and opened the door. It was an empty cleaning cupboard. It was about the size of a couple of toilet cubicles. I noticed a key hanging inside. The key locked the door. I was curious, so I stepped closer to check it out. But then someone came in, and I had to hide fast. So I got inside and hid. A couple of girls came in, and no one noticed that I was inside. Then I got an idea. What if I didn't go home that night? I could stay in the cupboard. I texted my mom and said I was spending the night at my dad's. And that night was the first night I spent in the cupboard. I was a bit scared at first, but it was so nice to have somewhere alone without anyone else. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend Kimberly, and we usually tell each other everything. The next day at school, I got up early and used the showers at the gym. No one suspected a thing. I went back to my mom's place that night, and her stupid boyfriend started shouting at me straight away. So I told him that he wasn't my real dad and he needed to back off. Well, he got really angry at that, so I packed a bag and I stormed out. I decided I was going to live in the school. I called my mom up and said I was staying with my dad, and Dad thought I was still at Mom's. That night after school, I stole a mattress from the gym, blankets from textiles, and some fairy lights from drama class. I decorated the cupboard and it looked so cool. I hadn't thought about how I'm gonna eat. But I discovered that the school's cafeteria wasn't locked at night, so I snuck in and I ate whatever I wanted for free. Also, I found a key to the vending machines and took loads of chocolate and sodas. The next night, I decided to explore more of the school. I snuck into the staff lounge and looked around. It was pretty boring, really, though they had some nice cookies in there. Then I snuck into the principal's office and found the master key that unlocked all of the staff lockers. I found something shocking. It was a half-open bottle of whiskey in Mr. Taylor, my science teacher's locker, next to some photos of his ex-wife. There is no way he should have that at school. I had a feeling that soon...
These days,
oh, come on. Why does all these ads come on every time I'm recording the video, bro?
From Capella University. You might even earn your master's.
Soon, I will start uncovering all of the school's secrets. I only had to make sure no one will find out about mine. One morning, I was hiding in the bathroom sleeping. I woke up really late to the sound of voices in the bathroom. It was two girls from my class, Sophie and Grace. They were talking about a party they had been to the night before. Sophie said that their friend Jen had been showing off the whole night and flirting with all the boys. Jen has really long blonde hair and is one of the most gorgeous girls in this school. But she is so nice. I really doubted she had done anything wrong. I think they were just jealous. Sophie and Grace talked more. Sophie was saying she had done something horrible to get revenge on Jen. But then they started whispering, and I missed what they said. Once they left, I got dressed and snuck out of my secret cupboard. Later on, I skipped a couple of classes and decided to go back into the cupboard and see if I could hear more conversations.
I didn't
hear any gossip, but I heard someone crying. I opened the door a little bit and saw Jen crying. She was brushing her hair, and clumps of it were falling out in the sink. I realized what Sophie and Grace had done. They had found a way of making her hair fall out. When they left, I heard more people coming into the bathroom, and I heard more voices. I realized it was boys talking. I froze. Why were there boys in the girls' toilets? Then I realized that the noise wasn't coming from the girls' toilets. It was coming from the other wall. I put my ear against the wall and listened. I could hear Matt talking to his friends. Matt is just the most gorgeous guy I have ever seen. And I had been wanting to ask him out for ages, but I'd been too shy. I could hear him talking about a girl he liked, and how he hoped that she would ask him out. His friend said to him why didn't he ask the girl out first, but he said he wasn't sure if she wanted to go with him or not, so was hoping she would ask him. My heart literally skipped some beats. He must have been talking about me. When they left, it all went quiet, and I realized I was running really late for class. It was science, and Mr. Taylor was not happy with me. He gave me detention for being late. I didn't care, though. It wasn't like I had anywhere else to be. But he could tell that I wasn't bothered, so he started picking on me and mocking me in front of the whole class. I went and I cried in the cupboard. Then I heard Kimberly come in with another girl. They were talking about Matt. Kimberly was saying how she was going to ask him out. I was crushed. I wanted to go out with him, not her. I had to do something to get the upper hand, and I needed to come up with a plan. After school, I had detention, and Mr. Taylor was being so mean to me again. I had no idea why he kept picking on me, but I knew I needed to get my revenge on him. But I had bigger problems to worry about. I had a maths exam the next day, and I had done no revision at all. And I knew if I failed, the teacher, Mrs. Sims, would call my parents. So I spent that evening looking for the answers. I looked in her locker, but there was nothing there. So I went to her classroom and broke into her desk and found them. I took photos on my phone so I could look at them. Then I put them back where I found them and shut the desk.
Stupid ads.
But then I heard something. Footsteps.
I hate these ads.
It was past 11. What was someone doing in the school? The school was pitch black apart from the room I was in. So I turned the light off and I hid under the desk. Then someone came into the room. It was the janitor. He asked who was there, looked around a bit, then left. I waited a couple of minutes, then I left the room. I crept down the hall, then I heard footsteps. He was behind me. He had been waiting to try and catch me. So I started running and I ran to the bathroom and locked myself in the cupboard. I couldn't believe I had almost got caught. I know all of this sounds pretty unbelievable, but my life really had turned this crazy. But this wasn't even the end of the weird stuff that happened to me. The next day I went to my maths exam feeling pretty confident. I'd stayed up most of the night memorizing the answers. It was multiple choice, and I chose mostly right answers and threw in a few mistakes in there, so I didn't
You got
get
them all
100%.
wrong, did you? I bet
Then
you
I
this
got
girl
back
got
to
them
thinking
all
about
wrong.
Matt, and I had a great idea. That night I broke into his locker and looked inside. I wanted to find out more about him, and I did. I found out he was really into tennis. So I went online and bought some tickets for a tennis match, planning to ask him to go with me. How could he say no? I then got another idea. I broke into Jen's locker and looked at her stuff. She had loads of hair care products in there. I took the lid off of one of them. It smelled like chemicals. Had her so-called friends been putting something in her shampoo? I stole the bottle and threw it in the bin. But I still had to get revenge on Mr. Taylor. So I wrote an anonymous note saying that Mr. Taylor was drinking before lessons and had whiskey in his locker. That would teach him not to be so mean. I felt such a sense of power. Living in the school was so good. Then it all started to go really
she
wrong.
was Supergirl, but she
So I
was a
asked
Power
Matt
Girl.
out, and he agreed
no
to go to the
superheroes.
tennis game with
We just
me. And
watched
I
the
was
movie.
so happy.
Girl,
But
stop
then I told
boogie.
Kimberly, and
It's not
she
the
seemed
70s.
okay. But later on, I was in the cupboard, and I heard her crying in a cubicle. She was so upset, and then it got worse. I heard Matt go into the boys' toilets, and he was talking about how he was going to the tennis game with me, even though he didn't fancy me, because he wanted to go to the tennis match. How could I have been so stupid?
Dummy.
But I couldn't think about that, as I had science class.
Yeah, girls just
Mr.
wrote their
Taylor
books.
wasn't there. We had a supplement teacher. I should have been happy, but I
supplement
couldn't stop
is
thinking about how I
substitute.
had upset Kimberly. I was a dreadful friend. Then halfway through class,
Dreadful?
Mr. Taylor came storming in.
Oh my God, bro.
I hope you guys are hungry because we're gonna do an entire
He threatened me and said it was my fault his career was ruined.
A
He had
career?
recognized my handwriting on the note. Some other teachers came in and dragged him out. I'm not going to lie, it was all
I'm
a
gonna
little
kill you.
scary. Then I got called into the principal's office. I felt relieved. Perhaps he was going to say well done for helping him get rid of a bad teacher. But when I sat down, he did not seem happy. He told me that the janitor had reported seeing me at school late one night. The principal had decided not to ask me about it, but to keep an eye on me instead. It turns out that there were CCTV cameras at the school I hadn't seen. He had seen me breaking into Matt's and Sophie's lockers and going into the principal's lounge. He asked me how I had got onto school premises at night, but I just kept quiet, like I was going to tell him that. Then he put something onto the desk. It was my answer sheet from the maths test a few days ago. He said that Mrs. Sims had reported me for cheating. I was so shocked I had got caught. I had been so careful. He told me that I had got such a bad mark that Mrs. Sims had thought something wasn't right. She had checked my answers, and it turned out I had selected the answers to a different test. I had stolen the wrong exam. As it was a multiple choice exam, I had just assumed it was the correct one, and I was so wrong. Then he told me the worst thing. He had called the police as my breaking and entering counted as a criminal act. And he had called my mom and dad, and they were on their way. So I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I went to my secret cupboard and locked myself in. I could hear loads of people searching for me, but no one found me. Luckily, I had food and drink, so I hid in the cupboard for a few hours. When it was nighttime, I snuck out. The school was empty, but what was I going to do? There was no way that I was going to end up living with my parents again. So I decided to run away. I packed a bag with my few belongings and I left the school. Then I hitchhiked to a town that was hundreds of miles away, a place where no one would know me. I spent the night on the street, sleeping in a shop doorway like a homeless person. It was cold, dark, and scary. Then I realized I was a homeless person, and I was to blame. I couldn't live like this. So the next day I went to a police station and handed myself in. Luckily, I was let off with a warning. They were more concerned about reuniting me with my mom. That was last summer, and now I'm back living with my mom. She split up with her boyfriend, and now she's living in a really small apartment. My room is tiny. It's no bigger than the cupboard I was sleeping in at school. I miss that cupboard sometimes. At least sneaking out and exploring the school at night gave me some freedom. Now living with my mom, I feel really trapped. Have you ever...
I'm just saying, moral of the story, don't ever do that. I'm just saying. That makes no sense what she said. I don't even care if this story is even real or fake. This has to be fake. I'm just saying, it has to be fake. It has to be. It has to be.